How are you doing?
Great, sir. How are you doing?
Yeah, just coping up.
Okay. So first of all, sir, I'd like to thank you for taking time out and agreeing for the interview. This is a great initiative for both ESL and Watch Out. So thank you for agreeing to take your time out.
Okay, yeah, anytime, man. Anytime for IITR.
Yeah. So how has lockdown been treating you?
Well, okay, it's not terrible
Hmm.
because in my home I'm there and thankfully work is going on. When we switch to work from home, we can still see that the productivity has not decreased
Yeah.
thanks to all the online tools. So in that way, it is good. And there are certain problems as in you can't go out, you can't meet your friends. So those restrictions will be
Definitely.
there. Apart from that, we have all the basic essentials that we talk of. So not much problem as of now.
Right. So I'll be starting with by introducing ourselves. So I
Sure.
am Avi Basna. I am a metallurgy second year student, and I am manager PR and marketing at ESL. Pranay.
Okay.
Hello, sir. This is Pranay. I am from second year chemical engineering, and currently I am manager events and initiatives of ESL IT Roorkee.
Hi, sir. I'm Komal, and I'm from second year civil. I'm the manager of events and initiatives in ESL.
Hello, sir. I am Pranay Pandit, metallurgy first year.
Hello, sir. I am Aniket Thora from Production and Industrial first year, and I was working in event section in eSummit.
First year, wow.
Yeah. So, sir, what are the specific memories that strike to you of on reminiscing Roorkee? I mean, if you had to classify yourself according to the Roorkee lingo, like were you a Gissu or were you? I mean, what were you in your college days?
I was kind of an average guy. I wasn't a Maggu, nor I felt in the category of 5 point someone. So I maintained an average CGP. I was a 7.5 type of guy,
Hmm.
which means on I'll study during exams, but during usual days I'll do something else. I'll maybe watch movies, watch series, I'll hang out with friends. Just the usual types.
Okay. So, have you visited Roorkee recently? I mean, how do you think the campus has changed since you graduated almost a decade ago, right?
Yeah. So I visited Roorkee in 2013 when I used to work for a company called Exigo.
Hmm.
And at that time, I visited Roorkee for recruitment. So even at that time, I could feel that uh, you could easily spot a lot of buildings, multi-story buildings, as opposed to just three-story bhavans which you used to have.
Yeah.
So that was the difference. And I didn't get much time because I was there for just 4 5 hours. I stayed in NC Nigam guest house. That was really good. The food there was amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I am planning to visit. I am making plans with my friends, and thankfully my Roorkee friends, they stay very close to where I stay. So we meet almost every week, and we have been making plans to visit Roorkee. And once this COVID situation gets over, most likely we will.
Okay. We'd
Uh,
love to meet you over a chapo or something.
Sure, sure.
Definitely. So, sir, what were your campus engagements when you were in college? Anything particular you did related to your startup interest?
Well, when I was in college, I was not a big fan of startups, frankly speaking. So, if you would ask me in college that will you be a founder of a company in future, so I would probably have said most likely no. So,
Uh,
not sort of a startup fanatic kind of guy. But I did a lot of activities in college, so which means I got my hands dirty on everything which you have in college, every sport. So I was a TD champ. I played table tennis a lot. I represented my house, my Bhavan in table tennis. I was from Govind Bhavan.
Okay.
So that I did. Then I tried whatever college has to offer. Like I played lawn tennis. I went gymming. I liked running in the LBS ground which you have, right?
Yes.
So I tried all sort of things which help you create memories. But I wasn't inclined towards startup when I was in college.
So when did you realize that you need to start something of your own?
So I'll tell you what happened. I'm a big fan of learning things, which means I keep on reading books, I keep on reading blogs, I take a lot of online courses. So this dates back to 2013. At that time, I took a very popular course on machine learning, and I felt it is magic. So I felt that AI can really change the world. I mean, it can really help people solve the problems. So I thought of using it someplace that it can really change the entire humankind. And in that particular year only, I took a lot of train trips. And as it happened, in some of my journeys, I had a wait list of 100, which got confirmed. And in some of the journeys, I had a wait list of 1, which did not get confirmed. So that got me thinking, is there any correlation between waitlist number and other parameters like which train is it, which class is it, to the final confirmation? So I thought I have just learned machine learning. I feel it's really useful. Why not try to apply it here and see if I can build anything? So it was, I wasn't sure that it would work. I just thought, let's try to build it. We waste a lot of time, right? Why not put something worthwhile? Why not put aside 3-4 hours every day to try to build something? That's how it started.
Sir, you were an analyst at JPMC, and then you were research engineer at Ixigo. So these two fields are quite different. Why did you choose such diverse fields?
Well, when you get a campus placement, your profile is not decided by you. Whatever the company, your first company has to offer, you got to take that. So in my case, even though you are reading analyst, actual profile was of support. So I was a support engineer and the job was frankly terrible. So my advice to you is if you are a coder, never go to a bank. And the day-to-day task was provide support to the database team. So people used to tell me that, dude, I want to restart my database, just do it. And I used to restart databases for them. And that got me thinking, what am I doing here? I want to build things. I want to develop things from scratch. And what the hell am I doing here? So then I decided I had to switch. Even though this company, JP Morgan, is a very big company, at that time it was voted as the most powerful company in the world, even ahead of Google. But I felt it's not for me. I have to switch. I have to do something which makes my job worthwhile. So hence I took the switch. And it proved to be really good for me.
So, sir, can you please explain what sort of services Trainman provides?
Sure. So Trainman will be your travel assistant and it is a one-stop shop for railways. So I'll tell you difference in Trainman versus the official websites. If you go to IRCTC, you will find all the data there, but you won't find intelligence. You might find some of it now, but when I built Trainman, you couldn't find any intelligence. For example, if you have to select your train, one big thing again is there a confirmation chance of waitlisted ticket. So when we built Trainman, we were the first one in the country who gave you this prediction confirmation chances. And it is a big use case, right? If you have waitlisted ticket, you'd want to know whether ticket will get confirmed or not. So that is one value add. Second value add is Um, so let's say you have a ticket and you want to know the cancellation charge. There are various factors which govern the cancellation charge. The ticket is of general quota or Tatkal quota, how many hours or days are remaining in the journey, then what is the journey class, is it a special range general train. We build a simple feature, just click on it, we'll tell you the refund, what will be the refund which you get if you cancel. So in one case, in the case of government websites, the passenger, the user has to do all the calculation, he has to know all the rules and regulations, and then he has to find out the cancellation thing or the train decision. But in our case, we provide all the information. So if you are knowing that if you cancel before this time, you will get this much amount. That is a very easy thing for you, apart from calculating it yourself. Coming back to another feature, we have a feature in our app called train delay, right? If you have multiple options for selecting a train, which train will you choose? So most likely, if you know that a particular train usually runs on time, you will select that train. Given Indian Railways has a history of running trains almost 24 hours late. So I have traveled, I'll tell you what happened with me exactly. I was in a train and two persons were fighting for a seat. And when I checked ticket of both the passengers, I mean, they both had same seat allotted. On checking the date, I realized that the train is 24 hours late and the person who has his journey on the same day has come. He's thinking that the train is on right time. So this is an actual case which has happened. So which means when you decide a train, you will want to know the history, the average delay of the train. And on Trainman, you will find all these features which will make your decision, your travel journey, your travel planning much easy.
So, sir, was it the first startup idea that came to you? Was Trainman the first startup idea?
Yes, you might say that. So like I told you, I was, till that time, I was not a startup obsessed kind of a guy. I just found a problem. I felt it is a problem and I felt I could build something which might solve it. So I built it, and even at that time, I did not know that this product will flourish into a company. So building product is one thing. Imagine if you have if you are working, if you have a full-time job which pays your bills, you can build anything in your part-time.
Yeah.
But then converting that hobby, that product of yours into a business which makes money and which employs people, that is something different.
Okay.
So this was my first idea. And now if you'll ask me, I can't imagine myself working for someone. So now the startup bug has bitten me.
Okay. So, sir, there are a lot of big players in the market. So, I mean, how does Trainman stand out? I mean, what is the USP?
The USP is very similar to what I told, is that we want to make entire journey planning to journey execution part very easy. So I'll give you one more example of something which we did, which is very different from the government website. If you travel by train, if you're traveling, let's say you're inside train, you would want to know the train delay, right? That how much delay is in the current train. And there is an issue of data. So what happens usually is that when you use any government app, if there is a network, if there is 3G or 4G working, they'll fetch data from their server and then they'll tell you the current delay of train. The algorithm which we have built is that even if there is no internet, just cell phone tower in your phone, our app can still tell you what is the current delay of train. And how we did it is one of the, my favorite problems. So we have pushed in our database all the latitudes, all the coordinates of all the cell towers which are around railway station. And if you are using Trainman app, I can find out which cell tower are you connected to, and hence what is the location. And on that location, I can tell you that what is the delay of your train.
Wow,
so even if there is no internet, right? You can easily. So these are the features, the value-added features, and we are able to provide these features because we are focused on railways. If you talk about my competition, let's say Paytm or let's say Google Pay,
Hmm.
uh, the Google Pay app, the Phone Pay app, all of them has trains feature, a
Hmm.
separate trains product, but they don't have this value-added service. They'll just enable you in ticket booking. So our focus is in railways. Our focus is in how to make life easier for a train passenger.
Great.
So according to you, which sector is currently blooming for new opportunities for new sectors?
So you mean given the COVID situation?
Yes.
So people say, and even I feel that the post-COVID world will be quite different from a pre-COVID world. There will be a new normal out there. And mostly I feel that there are 4 industries or 4 sectors which will boom. One obviously is healthcare. People going forward will be much more concerned with their health than they were before. Entire healthcare industry, right from the sale of sanitizers to or hand wash to getting medical checkup to the telemedicine part, right? How to get even how to consult doctor online. So these things will get really good boom after this COVID thing. That is one. Second, online to online industries will boom. And by online to online, I mean industries where you pay online and you get the service online. For example, online education. You're paying online and you're getting service online. You need not go out of your home. So all the industries, even gaming will emerge out to be a massive segment after this. Then further we have online to offline, which means you pay online, but you'll get service offline sitting at your home. Someone will come physically come at your doorstep to deliver you. All the e-commerce, when you order from, when you order, let's say any ration or any vegetable or any cell phone, you pay online, you get offline service. So these things will emerge a lot. People will try to avoid stepping out of their home. And this also means that offline sales, offline commerce will take a hit. Travel also will take a big hit because going forward, we feel that a lot of people will try to avoid travel. The Zoom calls will substitute a lot of business travel, and leisure travel will take a big time to come back.
So, sir, how did you meet your co-founder Karan, and how it is important to have a good co-founder?
Having a good founder is extremely important. I just cannot emphasize on it enough. So I met Karan when I was working at Ixigo. He was also working towards iOS app development at that time, and we met, and then we became flatmates. So I'll tell you, we rented a 7 BHK in Gurgaon, and all 7 were from IIT Roorkee, including my original co-founder Amir. So he was there, and we were 7 all IIT Roorkee flatmates. So it was really good, and Karan was one of them. So then we kind of bonded more, and I did not have any knowledge of app development. I was good at the client, the back end part. So Karan helped me with front end, and then we thought that we can work together. But we should always ensure that we get a really good co-founder, especially if you're able to find one of complementary skills. For example, if you're good at tech, and if you're able to find someone who has expertise in marketing, and nothing better than that, or business, nothing better than that.
Sir, at what stage is your startup, and how many customers do you have on board, and how are you planning to expand your startup?
At this juncture, I call ourselves a scale up. So startup is when you are in the stage from 0 to, let's say, few thousand customers. And scale up is when you have few thousand to few million customers. So we are in that scale up stage, and we have more than 60 lakh app downloads. So roughly you can say that given that there are 300 million smartphones, you can say that our app resides in 5% of all the smartphones out there.
And how are you planning to expand it? Do you have certain strategies for it?
Sure. Our focus is always trained. So going forward also, we are trying to build some more features which can drive more downloads. So for example, I'll give you an example. So let's say if I am able to incorporate network effect into it. You know what is network effect?
No, not really.
So I'll tell you what is network effect. If Facebook has 0 users, you won't use Facebook because none of your friends are there. But if Facebook has million users, Facebook makes sense for you because your friends are there. So the value of the product increases when there are a lot of people using it. Right? And this network effect is not there in Trainman. So if you use Trainman, you do not care whether 1 people use it, whether 10 people use it, because the value of Trainman app does not increase. But network effect is a thing which makes the value of the product increase. The example of Amazon. Why do you use Amazon? Because there are a lot of sellers. So if Amazon has just 1 seller, the value of Amazon is not much. But if it has a lot of sellers, so which means the value of product increases when it has a lot of people. So that is called network effect. And companies like all the social networks like Facebook, LinkedIn, WhatsApp, they all have network effect, which means their value is much. It's very high because a lot of people are using it. So we want to incorporate network effect into Trainman, and that is what I will feel will drive the growth further. And one way in which we are thinking about using it is that right now how we show the train location, the train status is that we source it from the government websites, which in most of the cases is incorrect or lags by 5-10 minutes. So I might tell you the status of train which was there 5 minutes ago. And what we are thinking is that if a lot of people are using Trainman app sitting inside train, and if we can fetch data from them, combine them and show it to a user who is not sitting inside train, so then our app will be more accurate than other apps out there because we have built an entire ecosystem. And how is this built? Because of network effect, because a lot of people are using the app. So this I feel, although I know it's a difficult concept to grasp, so think about it after the meeting maybe. But it's a very good concept. And whenever you do a startup, think of incorporating network effect into your startup.
Sir, you might have faced lots of challenges in this journey of yours. So how did you cope with all of those?
Challenges, I faced a lot of challenges. I was a tech guy, did not know marketing. I had zero knowledge of business. I had zero knowledge of fundraising because it's my first startup. So the how you overcome these challenges is you read. You get to know how other people have overcome. So I am a voracious reader. I read a lot of books. And by reading these, so I am currently the CEO of my company. And before starting up, I had zero knowledge of what CEO has to do, what he's supposed to do. So I read a lot of books of past co-founders, be it from India, be it from US, that what they have to offer. And I'm learning. Every day I read for at least 1 hour in the night. And I try reading business books. So by doing courses, even now I always spend few hours per week doing courses, online courses. I read a lot of blogs. So reading and knowing what is new, it will help you in making you better at your job. You must be knowing Tesla company.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Who's the founder?
Elon Musk.
Elon Musk. And he also owns one more company called SpaceX.
Yeah.
So he was not a rocket engineer. But still he built it technically. He was involved in it technically because he read books about it. Books, videos, whatever article is there, and then he became really good at it. So I feel what always matters in life is your attitude. It matters much more than your aptitude. What you know does not matter, but how much more are you willing to learn? That is what matters. So as long as you are open in learning new things, in talking to people who have solved this problem, uh, you will grow, and when your startup will grow. So that is my advice number one. Advice number two is that if you can try to get a mentor, one who has faced these difficulties, then the journey will become slightly easier for you. Because he will guide you, he will tell you what are the challenges which he faced and how did he overcome, which you can directly imply in your startup.
So, sir, how do you
Sir,
think? Yeah, go ahead.
I have one more question. How did
Sure.
you find your mentor? I mean, how did you manage to get yours?
Well, frankly speaking, I haven't till now. There isn't a fixed mentor per se which I would like to have. I still keep on asking people, meeting people, and I am still discovering my mentor. But then I have a lot of other people from the startup ecosystem to whom I reach out to if I face any difficulty.
Okay. So, sir, how do you think the startup ecosystem has changed since when you first started and now?
Starting up, it is definitely easier because you got everything as a package. You don't have to procure a physical server. You can there's a cloud infrastructure. You can just take a cloud server and get it up and running in less than a minute. Then you can outsource all your work. If you're not good at marketing, outsource some of your tasks. If you're not good at building creatives or designs, you can outsource your tasks. Compare this to what was the case 10 years back when you were supposed to do everything. So it has become easier, but at the same time, it has become tougher because there's a lot of competition. Since starting up it easy, a lot of people are doing it.
Sir, given the current scenario, how do you think will the startup world, especially your sector, would be affected?
Well, I answered this before. I told you that the healthcare will go up,
Yeah.
and travel sector will take a lot of time. So in travel, I'll tell you specifically what will happen. International travel will take at least a year to get back on track. Domestic travel, especially flights, they will take at least 6 months to get back on track. If not more, it might be more, but at least 6 months is there. Trains being an essential travel, I think it might take anytime between 3 to 6 months to get back on track. But again, even they are back on track, even then, it will take a few years to get back to the previous level. So they might reach to 75% of what was in the pre-COVID era, but it will be very difficult to reach to the 100% or exceed the travel that was there in the pre-COVID era.
Sir, according to you, what kind of work experiences should a budding entrepreneur should take?
There are two things I can say here. So one is that, so usually everyone has some idea. When you do a burger session with your friends, you'll tell that, dude, I have this idea. And then what happens? Nothing. It just remains an idea. So the question is, how rapidly can you go from idea to prototype stage? Which means you have a very small product which anyone can use. It's a sub feature, but it's a proper feature which anyone can use. So if you are able to figure out how to build a prototype from that idea in a span of, let's say, 1 month, then I think you can become a good entrepreneur. Then you have a lot of shots at being an entrepreneur. Imagine you have 10 ideas. You can just rapidly prototype each one of them and you can get to know what is working, what isn't. So you have to decrease that time. And usually what happens, we are clueless. So for example, let's say you have an idea of creating a social network for just IIT Roorkee. You'll feel it is a great idea. You'll enlist its advantages, its disadvantages, but then it'll stop there. So how to actually build that social network from it? You have to work hard there. So at any point of time, I feel that no one should feel that they can't do it. So what has happened? If I take my case when I was in college, I felt that yaar, मैं क्या कर पाऊंगा? मतलब there are so many brilliant people out there. I am nothing compared to them. What will I be able to do? But you can. And every startup thinks like this. So if you have asked me how big can Trainman become, can it become this big? The answer would be no. I didn't think it can become this big. And same thing goes with I think almost everyone. If you would have asked Jeff Bezos, who's the founder of Amazon, or maybe Larry Page, who's the founder of Google, they never thought it could become this big. So Larry Page, for him, Google was just a PhD project. But they executed, they built a prototype, a working product. So getting fast from idea to prototype is very important. And if you are working, so this is the case when you are, let's say, in your college. If you are working, if you have a job, then try to secure a job with a startup compared to a big company. So I'll tell you, I learned almost nothing in my stint at JP Morgan. I learned just one thing, how to frame a really good email.
Okay.
Nothing apart from that. But I learned a lot of things at Ixigo because I could see things end to end. Even in the technical stack, there are databases, there's a design team, there's front end, back end. So you see things end to end, then that's how you get to know how things work. Marketing team sits beside you, CEO sits beside you. So you know what is happening in the company in a startup. So if you get a chance, try to work or at least do an internship in a startup.
So I think, sir,
how much?
hello. Sir, Zoom has this time limit of 40 minutes, I guess. So I think we are running out of time. So I'd just like to ask one last question. So what is one message that you'd like to give to a young entrepreneur?
The same thing which I told you, that you have to make this building stage fast. So what I told you in the answer to the previous question, it's again what I would suggest to anyone, that if you have ideas a lot of time, just try to build things. I'll tell you one more interesting thing. Since I take a lot of courses online, I remember that when I took this machine learning course, at the similar time, I had found a course called Startup Engineering. I just took that course and that course helped me immensely. So all the basic stages, like how do you take a server? So you can procure a server free of cost. You can take an online cloud server from Amazon free of cost, and then you can put your code into that and you can build a website using that without any expenditure. So learn things, talk to people, keep reading, and believe in yourself. Believe that you can also do it. Anyone can do it, mate. Anyone can do it. So, but what it requires is effort. You can't do it by daydreaming. You have to get working. That's super critical. So that is my